Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm News Jester. My name is Junior. Today I want to talk about $100 figures that are 6-inch in scale. Why would I even consider buying $100 figures that are 6-inch in scale? That's a lot of money for one figure. And if you think about it, what if you want what if you want more than 10 figures out of that line? That's like $1,000. So why would you even consider it? Well, ever since I've been collecting figures, I've always wanted one definitive line that crosses intellectual properties, meaning I wanted one definitive line that I can have a collection of Marvel figures, DC figures, G.I. Joe figures, Masters of the Universe figures, Star Wars figures, right? And the reason why I have a Marvel Legends from Hasbro right now is because, like it or not, Marvel Legends has so many characters, an almost complete line of characters, that they're dipping into the most obscure characters that you can think of right now, with different variations. Here's a Marvel Knight, Black Knight figure that is just incomparable above every other line out there. The only other line that was close to it was the DC Universe Classics line, and even though I have a complete DC Universe Classics and an almost complete Marvel Legends line, and even though they are comparable in height, and the articulation is good for the DC Universe Classics, it's just completely outdated at this point when you're comparing it to Marvel Legends, and it just stands out. They're just basically being blown out of the water. For one thing, the paint application of DC Universe Classics, it's an old school paint application. Very, very simple. The joints are single jointed on both sides. There's not even any kind of ankle swivel that's going on. Marvel Legends just fulfills everything you can think of in terms of what you could want for a 6-inch figure, but it doesn't go beyond Marvel. The only good thing about Hasbro's Marvel Legends is that they actually have the G.I. Joe line, which is comparable in size, in articulation, and a lot more in accessories, and the price range is pretty good too. Let's be honest, it is. I mean, I know for me, my limit for a 6-inch figure is $30. Right now, G.I. Joe is $25. Marvel Legends is $25, even though it has less accessories. But the moment it reaches $30, I cannot follow that collection anymore. Because for 4 figures of a $25 Marvel Legends, that's $100, and that's significant. Now, the other thing too that I'm doing at this moment is I want, in terms of looks, scale, I can dip into my DC Direct figures to scale up with Marvel Legends, and that's pretty good too. And I'm kind of doing that. If I just want my figures to be standing side by side like this, I can dip into my DC Directs and cherry pick the ones that I want so that it scales, looks good, and I think I can do that. I even have Wonder Woman, which kind of makes sense. She'd be a little bit tall because she's an Amazonian, so I can kind of complete a DC versus Marvel collection. But look, even with this one, unfortunately, the articulation suffers, even though it looks really, really good. And then of course you have different styles that you have to mix and marry and all that stuff, and it just, there's not enough cohesion between lines, because you're basically combining Marvel Hasbro to a Mattel DC, or a DC Direct DC, which is a defunct line. You cannot complete a cohesive line, right? So now we go into the $100 mark. What do I want from a $100 figure? I want it to scale exactly like a Marvel Legends. It has to be the same height as Marvel Legends. It has to be a company that has great articulation. It has to be a company that has great accessories. It needs to have a base that is really, really good, and basically the style. The style has to fit what I want. I cannot do any kind of their own take, Mezco-fied or Mafex-fied. And it's got to be almost a good comic book representation. I can't do Marvel Universe. I can't do DC Cinematic Universe. It's I gotta go down to the brass roots of what I want, which is comic accurate for the DC and the Marvel universe. Okay, so there's basically two companies in existence that I'm looking at that basically has access to intellectual properties that they can produce. One of them is Mezco. This is the $100.25 version. There is, which is their kind of their premium line above their regular. Their regular line is actually this one, which is currently going for $95. As you can see, it scales very, very well to the Marvel Legends. And the other line is a Mafex, which is currently sitting at around $104 for their releases. So why these two? Mezco has access to DC, Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe, some monster lines. What else? They have their own stuff, but I'm not interested in that. Mafex has access to DC, Marvel, Star Wars, which is another IP that I am invested in. And what else does Mafex have? I can't remember. It does have the cinematic stuff, but I don't care about that. SH Figure Arts I'm discounting because I feel Mafex does everything that SH Figure Arts does, but visually I prefer Mafex. So let's do these two lines comparatively and see where I want to go. I'm going to be going back and forth between the two comparisons to offset certain things, right? So height, they're good. They basically stack up to a Marvel Legends height, about the same ones. Physically, they're somewhat different, right? The Mezco, one of the good things about this is it's got fabric. It's the fabric clothing is just premium quality. You can't go wrong by that. This is almost like a Hot Toys scaled down to half type. So you're no longer seeing the joints. It's very few joints that you're seeing. You're seeing it here on the wrist, maybe here on the neck, and down here where it connects to the body. The Mafex, even though it's showing joints, they're close enough to a Marvel Legends that it's you're kind of getting used to it. But you know, for $100 figure, when you're looking at invisible joints to visible joints, I'm kind of leaning towards Mezco. Articulation, the articulation is on both is comparable to what is capable with Marvel Legends, and even more so. For example, with Mezco, it's comparable to what you can do with Marvel Legends, but the way their joints move, it's almost flawless. You're not afraid. The material that they use, you're not afraid for it bending, breaking, pulling apart. I've never had a joint breakage from a Mezco that utilizes fabric for its costume. Now, Unfortunately, that's all I'm going to limit myself on. I am not going to do any Mezco products that deals with rubberized body because I've had a bad experience with them. They've only had 2 items that has rubber body, the Alien and the 89 Batman, and they are both flawed. Mezco just is completely inexperienced in that department. I would not recommend them at all. They're like, don't buy them. You're wasting your money. Okay, but when it comes to the fabric bodies, the material they're using, it's unbeatable. I mean, even replacing the hands, you're not afraid of it because it plugs in easily. Each of their heads have individual pegs, so you don't have to deal with the pegs at all. Now, Mafex is the same way in terms of articulation, at least from the one I've experienced. All my Mafex is original. They're not knockoffs. So they're nice and tight enough to hold the positions that you're in. And yeah, I don't have any issues whatsoever. In terms of articulation range, by that I mean the range in terms of how far can this leg kick? It goes up to 90. How much can this torso bend? It goes up to that much. Okay, so it matches what a Marvel Legends does. It doesn't have any drop down on the legs as far as I know. It doesn't have bicep butterflies as far as I know. It doesn't have movement on the shoulders as far as I know. Mafex, not only do their legs go up to 90, if you utilize the drop down mechanic of the leg, it goes more than 90. The torso goes more than range. So articulation range on the Mafex is more. That's because of the drop down on the thigh, and also because of the drop down on the shoulders and the butterfly joints, so it can move more than 90. You can get that much. For the Mezco, I know this is kind of in the way, but Mezco you can go up to that much only. So in terms of articulation, Mafex really captured my eye to the point that I was seriously considering, instead of doing Mezco, I would do Mafex. Even though Mezco's appearance, because of the fabric hiding all the joints, that was really a big plus towards Mezco. I could bypass the articulation, the joints and all that stuff being seen on Mafex, but the range, the way it plays, the more playability factor and posing, it slightly upticks Mafex against Mezco. Now, let's talk about accessories. Mezco's accessories at the $85 scale, at an $85 range. 1, 2, 3, 4 heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of hands. Accessories. It's got this base for the flag of the cape, a base accessory, some blast effects and all that stuff. And I'm missing, okay, and you can't see it here, but there's another set of feet here to replace this one, and then these 2 jet boots, which basically is a jet boot that you can replace there. The base is this circular stand, and then this one. This base is unparalleled in the 1/12 scale. It never has any problems with the joints. The joints are nice and stiff, and they don't fall down on looseness. In fact, I've used this on 1/6 scale figures. The only problem I have with the base is the footprint of the base. It's so big that it occupies a lot of space when you're displaying them, and it's circular, so it's the diameter is way too big. But I feel that maybe that's necessary because if you're doing flight poses, this wider base provide a more stable base. Now let's talk about Mafex's accessories. It's got a lot of hands, granted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of hands. Unbeatable. Accessory only has one accessory. Heads got 3 heads. And a separate piece of shoulder design with a separate piece of cape. And this one. Now this is not the usual Mafex. You don't usually get like 2 sets of capes for Mafex. But the interchangeability of the faces, I can see that as a good thing. This one basically follows this type of design with the pointed shoulders. Well, this unpointed shoulders, more of a regular design for Batman, so that's cool. But the base for this thing sucks really, really bad. The base, you'll have to look at my review because I think I just went ahead and threw mine on the trash. It's so bad. It can't even hold a pose, or can't even support the weight of its own poles. I know maybe you can tighten it with screws, but why? I mean, maybe eventually it's necessary to tighten the screws, as would happen with Mezcos, but right out of the usage, it should be tight. It shouldn't have all that looseness going on that it can't even support its own weight, much less support the weight of the figure. Unfortunately, the other thing too, with just having 3 heads, if you wanted a grimacing face, you have to stick with this design. I like the design, I do, but sometimes maybe if I want to use this one, maybe I want a grimacing facial feature. With Mezco, because they have so much for this figure has 7, I think, that covers all ranges of emotions and options. So even though it has a lot of faces and a lot of display options, Mezco, when you're comparing it to a Mezco figure being of the same price, you can't help but wonder that Mezco, it shifts towards Mezco. It just does. Now this Superman is the $125, so it's a little bit more premium. It comes with a tin container, which I think it's kind of a bonus for collectors. This actually comes with 7 heads, 7 freaking heads for $125. That's a lot of value going on in there, with light up features, heat vision accessories. That is big. That is a big jump in value from 95 to 125, getting all that stuff in. So what else do I factor in when I'm looking at $100? For $100 for a figure, not only do I want the size, not only do I want articulation, not only do I want to have a look that I want that fits in my design, meaning comic book accurate. I don't care about the cinematic universe from Mafex. I don't care about the cinematic universe from Mezco. I just want comic book accurate perfection. But the one thing that's making me consider Mafex is the fact that Mafex already has a lot of figures out there on DC. It already has Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Joker, multiple variations of Batman, from Batman Hush to Batman Dark Knight to Batman Night Crusader, Batman Nightfall, has Nightwing. What else? It has got a lot of DC characters already. Unfortunately, with Mezco, even though it has characters such as Green Lantern, Aquaman, Joker, Robin, Superman, most of their figures, I would say 80%, has a Mezco influenced design. They just Mezcofy it. They have lines going around. This, even though it looks comic book accurate, this is a Mezco design where it has this part on the chest. And these type of lines that they have. And it's not comic accurate. So 70%, I'm going to say 70% of their DC figures have Mezco designs, which I really don't like, because for $100 figures, I want my comic, my figures to be really very, very in line with the vision that I want. So here's one of their earlier DC figures, the Flash. This is the one of the ones that has the least Mezco like qualities. You can still kind of see it here in the lines of the boots. You can kind of see it here on the lines of the face, but when they were doing this was more comic book accurate. But I just wanted like really simple comic book characters. Here's another character that I like from Mezco. It's really kind of close to a comic book Captain Marvel. Even the head is very reminiscent of the actor that portrayed him. So I really like these. I did not like their Aquaman. I did not like their John Stewart. They did a Hal Jordan version, which I'm almost tempted to get, but I just can't get away from all those lines that they're doing. I also didn't like their Wonder Woman. It's closer to a DC Cinematic Universe design. I just want a simple Wonder Woman figure with this kind of design. Like even this is more like this line over here. I'm not, I'm okay with it, but this is more classically designed. If Mezco were to just do this, and you'd be good. The other thing too is availability. When Mezco was first announced, I was one of the very, 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 very first vocal proponent of the line, because I'm coming from Hot Toys, and Hot Toys is a premium 1/6 scale figure. Mezco was doing that. Fabric clothing, multiple accessories that you could ever want. An $80 figure, which is comparable, back then it was $80, compared to what Mafex SH Figure Arts was offering, even though they're imports. I'm like, why? If I'm gonna buy $80, I'm gonna go for the one that offers most. And that was what Mezco was doing. Unfortunately, Mezco, in the very infancy of their production line, went collector heavy, like meaning they went towards exclusives, they went toward limited quantities. So the scalpers and the bots very, very early on magnetized towards Mezco, so that characters that you would want suddenly sold out. You couldn't get them. And then they were con exclusives, side exclusives. They went really, really heavy on variations, and the variations that I really wanted were quickly sold out. For example, the Punisher with the white gloves, white boots, and white belt, that was sold out. I couldn't get a hold of it. The only one I was able to get was the variation that was almost completely black except for the white skull, and I had to go for that because otherwise I couldn't get a Punisher. The Captain America one, there were two variations, a lighter blue and a darker blue, and I might have wanted the darker blue, but I went for the lighter blue instead. The Wolverine brown suit Wolverine, that was sold out. The Red Skull that I really, really wanted to pair with Captain America, that sold out. And I'm like, okay, that's stupid. If you can't give me access to any of the Marvel, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop Marvel, and I'm gonna concentrate on DC. By that time, with my logic, since I'm already cut off from Marvel, when I wanted a line that's all-encompassing, meaning a DC Marvel unified look within that line, and then I'm looking at the DC and they're all Mezcofied, I'm like, screw it. $100 figure? the whole reason I'm going for the $100 is because I wanted a DC and a Marvel to play with, and I wanted comic accurate. If you can't do that to me, I'm just gonna go and pick and choose that I want. And I went ahead and pick and choose. I bought the 1978 Christopher Reeve, and I bought this Man of Steel Superman, because I'm really heavily into Superman. And then when they introduced 1989 Batman, I went in and pre-ordered that because I could pair it up with my Christopher Reeve. Well, guess what? The 1989 Batman from Mezco was such a bad product, because it's the second time that Mezco messed around with rubber, and they all broke. They all didn't function. All their articulation sucks. It either because of the rubber got into the metal joints inside or something. I don't know. I don't care. But when I went to Mezco to have them fix it, it took them over a year and a half. They gave me 2 extra free bodies. Yes, that's kind of good. It kind of helped with the high price, but it took them a year and a half, and they never even fixed the issue. They just kept on sending me 2 bodies to see, and eventually the third one finally worked okay, that I could move the articulation. But still, lack of communication, very poor response to customers. The fact that they did not fix the problem with the 1989 rubber bodies, I just like, that was the product that basically made me say no more Mezco. This company was awful. Now, after a few months, I went ahead and these 2 were basically just sitting there. I had these 2 and the Christopher Reeve in my collection unopened ever since the 1989 Batmobile, 1989, ever since the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman. And I just did not have any compulsion to open it. It was basically a lost cause that I spent $300, and I just didn't want to open it. But now, if you've seen my reviews, you've seen my opinion on Mezco turnaround with this figure, and most definitely with this figure, but most specifically with the Christopher Reeve figure. And so with Mezco, I would say this: if it's a fabric suited figure, I do highly recommend Mezco. But when it comes to rubber suits, no, I don't want to do that. Now, going back to Mafex, the cool thing about Mafex is it's widely available. As long as you put your orders in, there's no limited quantities. There's no scalper bots that's gonna outbid you or outbuy it. It's all import. So you can, once the pre-orders go up, put your pre-orders in and you're gonna get it. Not a problem. Okay. So now we get down to the question of where do I put my money? Mafex or Mezco? When I was reviewing this Mafex Batman, I got really disappointed with certain points. The gap in the cape and the figure, the connection between the cape and the figure, the somewhat, there's no pegs underneath the figure, so you can't just get a simple peg like this. The stand was really awful for a $100 figure. And then I started looking at Mezco, and I looked at the accessories that it had. It had so much more accessories than a Mafex for a $100 figure. It had an almost similar articulation range than a Mafex figure. It's not. This one, you can pull a little bit more with Mafex, but the joints are completely hidden. You have a little bit more variety when it came to Mafex in terms of body style. With Mezco, here's an earlier version of Mezco where it has the wider shoulders compared to this one, where this part has kind of like a pajama look compared to this one. And this is their only other body that they have, the slimmer version. With Mafex, you have a lot more wider variety. But I decided to go with Mezco. For $100, all your joints are invisible. You got good articulation. You got good articulation range. Very comic book accurate. A lot of accessories. The stand is really good, and you play with it. You can play with it really well. A lot of play options, a lot of display options. The problem that I'm encountering with Mezco is they're still doing their limited quantities, their exclusive figures. But now into a classic look, and I really hope that they concentrate on that, because I bought the Captain America that has the classic look, which I like. I'm tempted by the Batman Silver Age, that kind of looks like Dick Sprang's art style, but the head is just way too big for that figure, and it's in a 2-pack. I know they have the gray version, the gray and black version, but I wanted the blue and gray version for Batman. But it's in a 2-pack, so, and I don't really want to get Two-Face, but more importantly, the head is just way too big for that body, and it just is just killing it for me. And it's a different age than this Superman. This is more of a late 80s, early 90s comic book style, and that one's a Silver Age. I might still get it because Mezco might do a Silver Age Superman, and when it comes to Superman, I'll get it if it looks good, and stuff. So this is hard because we're talking about $100 figures. So I'm gonna be limited. If they offer this style, it has to be this style for $100 figures. My demands are very high. I know they're gonna give me great accessories. I know they're gonna give me great articulation. I know they're gonna give me good fabric, but the style has to be comic book accurate. I can't get every single figure out there, even though it's comic book accurate. I cannot. It's just way too expensive. So what I'll do is I'll concentrate on the core Justice League. If they can offer me the Justice League in this kind of style, I'll buy it. I already have the Flash from an older style, so that's acceptable. I already have Captain Marvel, which is acceptable. So I'm now looking for Aquaman, Green Lantern, Batman. They've done a bunch of Batman, but they're all Mezco-fied. It sucks. If they can do a Batman in this style, it'd be an instant buy for me. And again, I'm still thinking about that Silver Age Batman. Maybe. And then as a counterpart for the Marvels, I already have this Punisher. Like I said, it's just the black version. That's kind of acceptable to me. Kind of looks like a comic book Punisher. I'm getting the classic Captain America. That's the kind of Marvel that I want. It will go very well with this Superman. Again, with Marvels, I'll do the basic Avengers. I don't like their Iron Man. It's the Marvel Legends Iron Man is even much better than Mezco, even though it has a lot of options. I just don't like the Mezco-fied design. Make it plain, make it simple. I almost would like the Mafex Iron Man, but you know, it's showing all the joints. I don't know how I'd be able to accept an Iron Man from Mezco, so that might be a problem. But I'll definitely want Captain America. I want the Hulk from Mafex. A Thor from Mafex would be good, and then Iron Man. I don't know how they're gonna do that. That I would find acceptable. Hey, like an Iron Man like this from Mezco, I'd buy that. So I'm gonna take a gamble on Mezco again and hope that they'll produce the characters that I want, the style that I want, because everything else falls heavily on Mezco's favor. So, and I hope they won't do that stupid exclusive limited quantity crap that they've been pulling in the past. But yeah, so that's it for my rant. $100 figures, that's what I'm going for Mezco for the win. And this is me coming from an immensely negative point of view of the 1989 Batman. For me to get turned around to Mezco again, it speaks high of the value that you're getting for their product. So unfortunately, when it comes to the Mafex, I already ordered the Thor, so I'm gonna have to deal with that loss. I have the Cyborg Superman, I have the Steel, and I'm keeping my Superboy pre-order. I'm keeping my Eradicator pre-order from Mafex because they're Superman characters anyway. I'm probably gonna get the Superman Hush Mafex just to pair up with this Batman, and then that's gonna be it for my Mafex. I'm not gonna get any other side characters. I'm not gonna get their Nightwing. I'm not gonna get their Catwoman, their Penguin, or their Joker and all the stuff. This is where my Mafex adventure ends. It did for $100. I just don't think this is a $100 figure. I just don't think there's enough value in a Mafex to be a $100 figure. I think a Mafex is a $60 to $70 at the most when it comes to value, because of the issues that I've raised. Mezco just brings it up quite a notch. This is $100 worth for sure, and even more so. The value in this one is even more so. It's just Mezco, stop with this exclusive. Even if you want to do your Mezco line, and just do your classic line, but definitely stop the exclusive stuff. Don't, if you want to do exclusive, fine, just make sure that item is available on pre-order, not on limited quantities, on a later date. Then I'd be fine with it. I don't care about exclusive. I don't care about the item being rare. I just want it in my collection. So that's it for my rant. Where did you guys go? Where are you guys going to spend your $100? That's a lot of money for each figure. So that's up to you guys. Thank you for watching. And as a bonus, you'll notice if you bought this Mafex Batman, you'll notice that my Batman has a different look in terms of the cape. One of the issues that I had with Mafex's cape is that the cape is basically glued onto the side edge of this one, and you couldn't pull this look off, which is kind of like weird. You definitely want a Batman look that can just basically cover himself up with a cape like that. So it's a very, very simple, and the other thing too is by doing this, it hides the gap that's occurring on the shoulders, between this shoulder plate and the shoulder body. It's a very, very simple fix. I'll show you right now. Remember, this cape is wired, and it's a very strong wire too. All I had to do was do this and do that. Make sure this is tucked in properly like this one, and basically the edge of the cape now starts in the middle. See? So let's go back to this one. So now when you're posing this, you just got to make sure that, just pose it from that point. Now you have a cape that basically kind of starts over here. It's very simple. And the cool thing is, this cape is so long, you hardly notice the fact that you just subtracted like an inch away from the cape. It still flows pretty good. So that basically dealt with my issue with the shoulders and everything. So yeah, so that's it for my bonus. thank you for staying all the way to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed my little rant, my little choice. I don't know where you guys went. I mean, were you going to Mezco or were you going to Mafex? I mean, if you can afford both, then good for you. I can't. This 5 alone represents $500 worth of figures. So again, thank you for watching. I hope to see you guys soon on my next review, which will be going back to the cheaper alternative of the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classifieds Cobra Commander Once a Man. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.